When Dave Askin told me that I would be speaking from the church, from the inside the sanctuary, I was so happy. Because even now, when I close my eyes, there's a sense of security, warm, calm, when I'm inside of the church. I just feel protected. Whenever I enter our church, any Armenian church, and to a lesser extent, any church, but especially Armenian church, it's like coming into the home of a relative who loves you unconditionally. You know, whether that could be an aunt or a grandma, you know, you could have brought an A from school, or you could have been a brat that day. She always goes, you know. When I enter a church, I feel the daughter has come home. That's as simple as that. So it's such an honor and a privilege for me to be speaking today from inside of the church, the beautiful sanctuary. That's actually one of the reasons that whenever I perform any part of the world, I seek the Armenian church local to that city. Because immediately when I go and sing in that church, there is a sense of belonging, ownership, and a sense of I'm home. So why do we feel like this? Why do we often seek to come to church? Of course, your parents, upbringing, probably they've encouraged you to come to church from a young age. But I think it's one thing to pray and to meditate on your own. But collectively, it just becomes more powerful. So let me elaborate. So as baptized Christians, we have Jesus Christ, God, Trinity, and the Holy Spirit inside of us, okay? We're part of Him, we're part of God, so we resonate with Him, we vibrate, and we are connected to God. We look like Him too, right? It says so in the Bible, so He created us in His image. But the way I look at it is, we as human beings who have the soul in us, who have the spirit in us, we are at a different volume than God. We are still part of Him, so we are like the drops, and God is the ocean. So the more of us, like-minded people come together to pray, the volume increases. And therefore, we feel more of God within us. I think that's part of the draw as to why we like to come to church, and why we don't just, I've heard people say, well, I'll just pray on my own, I don't have to go to church. No, you actually need the church for your petition to be amplified, but for you to also be of benefit to someone else. So it's not just you, me, it's others as well. When you declare Jesus is the Son of God, then you have God living inside you. And since God is love, all who live in love live in God. Yeah, I know, you have to kind of think about that. When God's inside of you, I believe His light is also inside you. We as Christians, we have that already. But how you use that light is the key to success. So imagine having a bright flashlight, okay? But you have covers on top of it. Do you see it? Do you see that light? You don't. Do others see it? They don't. But when you take the light from within, from inside, and you let it outside, and you allow that light to guide you, something extraordinary happens. It lights your path. So if you don't know where you're going, just take that light outside, let it guide you. It not only shows you where you're supposed to go, but it also shines light on the obstacles in your way. So you avoid them, and you avoid tripping. And you know what? It also becomes a beacon of guidance and hope to others. So to live the Christian life, you just need to let God guide you. Don't let Him just inside you. You need to love God and trust Him so that He is the leader. Let Him walk ahead of you. Let Him be first in your life. What does this mean? This means you have to trust Him with all your plans and the outcomes, whether you like the outcomes or not, and going along with the results. Because I truly believe, this is when true magic happens. Well, magic, we don't say it in the church, we say blessings, right? Because when you surrender to God, you become an instrument of God. As simple as that. And that's when blessings happen. Blessings that happen in my life all the time, and it happens daily. I was raised in a church. My mom took me and my sisters and brothers to church from a very young age. We all sang in the church choir. I was the youngest, I think I was 3 when I joined the adult choir in Lebanon. I loved to sing from a young age, especially Armenian sacred music. And to this day, after almost 20 years singing professionally, I can truthfully say it still remains the GPS that influences and guides every repertoire I sing, whether it's Mozart, Handel, contemporary, it doesn't matter. Everything comes from that place of authenticity, which was born through the Armenian church music. So when we immigrated from Lebanon to Canada, I continued to sing in church. Actually, the first the youth choir I sang was at the Holy Trinity Armenian Church, where Bayrakdarian was back then high surp. And he, just like he does a fantastic, tremendous and successful efforts here to rally the youth in Canada, he did as well, and I'm a testament to that. Now, I look at a lot of young folk in the attendance today, and when I was your age, I was applying for college. So at 17, how do you know what you're supposed to do for the rest of your life? I mean, you're supposed to go to college to get a degree that's going to help you for the rest of your life. I mean, just imagine, you haven't lived enough to know who you are, what your strengths are. So I knew I always had a good voice. I'd never taken a singing lesson. I was good in math and sciences, but I thought that was normal. I had a very curious mind. I was good in sports. I was happy. So there were so many things, but so what direction should I choose? My mom raised me to trust God with all my heart, to love Him, to serve Him with all my talents and abilities. When I was growing up, I was told, not just me, my brothers and sisters too, we were always told over and over again that there was nothing we couldn't do. Because simply if we say, God is with us, we would be unstoppable. So if God wills it, no man can stop it. Right? It says, if God is with us, who can be against us? And besides, I have to say this, the word no should never come from you. Other people say it enough to you. You should never say no to yourself, okay? Just my advice to you. So, biomedical engineering. It was something I was good at, okay? And I loved the prospect of helping others. It wasn't just me dealing with materials and numbers, but no, it would be to help others, to be with people, not in a lab somewhere. Plus I got a full scholarship, so that helped to make decision making, okay? So 3 years of that. And then I had an internship at an engineering company, actually IBM at the time, and I tried singing lessons. I loved it. I loved it very, very much. Something inside woke up, just woke up. It was devouring music. Give me. And of course, when you learn so much, you need to apply it, right? So I was put in competitions and started winning these competitions. I never thought about competing against other people, you see. I just need a venue to just let out all this thing that's bubbling from inside. So I was not comparing myself to anyone else. I was not expecting anything else that other singers, having gone through formal training, were taught to listen. I was like the the odd one. So in my last year of engineering, I won the Metropolitan Opera competition on my first try. That was at the same time I had an engineering offer, actually, because I was graduating. So again, what to do, right? Choices, choices, choices. I must say I'm grateful for my spirit of intuition, because a very, very clear voice said inside me, follow the joyful path. It's not the path that brings intellectual satisfaction. Joy is heart, not thinking. Singing was 100% the answer. Of course. Yes. Singing, the arts world is very unstable, it's fickle. How can you make a living? You know, I'm the daughter of immigrants, you know, you've got to have something very solid, respectable, engineering. But it didn't matter. My heart was saying, singing, what have you got to lose? What have you got to lose? So what if the tragic thing happens? You don't choose singing, and at the age of 40, you turn around and say, what if I'd done it? I must say, when that number came, I was like, I'm glad I chose singing. I did that moment. So, and then actually another thing I want to let you know, never underestimate your special talent. How do you know you have a special talent? It comes easily to you. So, but remember, what is easy for you isn't easy for someone else. For me, singing, when I was taking singing lessons, coloratura runs, which is like the fast fiorituri runs, they were there. My teacher didn't teach me that. My teacher didn't know how to sing coloratura. She would ask me, how did you do that? I said, I don't know. It was there. It just came out. I thought everybody could sing coloratura. I honestly thought everybody can sing coloratura. It wasn't until I started becoming more into the business of singing that I realized, oh, you either have to be taught this over many, many years, or it comes naturally to you. And don't devalue something that comes easily to you, or something that makes you happy. You know, don't say, oh, this is not serious. Not at all. It just means that if you feel joy in your heart and you're happy doing something, it just means that you tapped into your soul and you freed it. That's when you glow and your light will shine brighter. Singing for me was and still is a complete joy. And singing Armenian sacred music just liberates my soul, my spirit. It connects me with the divine. I feel part of the long chain of my ancestors and history. Now, the light that I mentioned earlier, it's as if my soul makes a direct connection with God, and I just glow from within. And whenever I sing, I'm always transformed, especially after singing sacred music. But so what is singing? What is singing? Well, let's talk a little bit technique. It's just taking the mechanism of breathing to another level. One that's not used for speaking. It's the same instrument. Absolutely the same. It's not that I get another body when I sing. My vocal cords are the same, my support system is the same, my lungs are the same, my diaphragm is the same, my muscles are the same. But the philosophy is different. So, in Italian, inspirar, to breathe. But what is it, inspirar? It has the word spirit in it, doesn't it? To let the spirit in. So every time you breathe in, you're inviting the Holy Spirit inside you to renew you, to transform you, and to give you connection to the divine. And done consciously, it can perform miracles. You're filled with positivity and goodness. You really sound better than you've ever sung. It's true. And you sound unique. You're filled with tremendous strength and authority. And you touch other lives and transform others. And the list goes on. So I love singing, no wonder, huh? And any singer worth their salt knows the key to success isn't just a good voice. Of course, technique, genetics, DNA, training, personality, but have the right personality to be a singer, performer, opera singer. But the key is you've got to be able to communicate. You can sing loud, you can sing perfectly, say technique-wise, and get your applause the first time. But if you're only activating the brain of your listener instead of their heart, pretty soon they'll be bored. So communication in music is from the heart of the singer to the listener's heart. There's no brain involved. The technique, the thinking should never be brought front and center during any performance. What is sacred music then? Sacred music is communication with God. It's never a performance, never. When you talk to your dad, do you write a report first and read it to him? No, right? It's spontaneous and direct because it's based on trust and familiarity. So God is our Father. He's my Father. I consider him as my, high league. So praying is speaking with God. And singing, as an extension, is the melodious speaking with God. And again, it should be candid, open, and trusting communication. Okay, now what is communication? Communication is a two-way street, isn't it? It can't be, God, me, I'm going through so much, please listen, I really need your help, Well, you're not giving God a chance to answer, right? You're just talking one-sided. And I feel he is so kind. He's so loving. He'll never interrupt you. And he won't be loud in his answer. So you just have to be quiet once in a while. And sensitive. And listen. Because the voice that comes, it's very quiet, but clear. The messages that come when I ask, they're like maybe 3-4 words, and they're very simple, but you have to allow for him to answer. Which brings me to the topic of sensitivity in singing sacred music. Actually, any music, in my opinion, not just sacred music. It's never about showing off your range, your breath control, your diction, your legato, all the wonderful things, okay? We come back to what Sarpazan mentioned yesterday about humility. It's key, especially in a profession that's known for their share of divas and divos, okay? It's about, sensitivity in singing, it's about conveying the sung words, in which case the prayer, as truthfully as possible, and always from the heart. And knowing that you're only a conduit, okay? You're not be-all, end-all. You are just a conduit because a song or a hymn was created a long time ago because someone else, a monk, a priest, a scholar, experienced the connection with God, which released the power of creativity from within, and the melodies came out. So, if you try to own it as a personal vehicle, like say feeding your ego, then you are rendering that special hymn ordinary, fallible, and just human. And you take the blessing from it, both for yourself and for the listener. And as an interjection, what does ego mean? Edging God out. Today I want to demonstrate for you a hymn. Maybe if you could pass it around, maybe I'm going to give half to this side. Thank you. Yesterday we all collectively during the night prayer, we sang the Sulpaspas, the Let's Get Sung during Holy Thursday. Today I'm handing out the music for Sulpaspas that gets sung during Holy Friday, the Bayrakdarian. It's one of the most poignant moments of the entire Lenten period for me. Of course, a lot of you love and appreciate Maundy Thursday's darkening of the church, res lighting, but to me, this particular one, where the priest, as well as the Sagaraks, the beers, they're on their knees in front of the coffin of Jesus. Saying, you know, mighty God, holy, endless, eternal, yet he has chosen to take human form and suffer for our sake, so that we are not condemned for life. But doesn't stop there. It does what all humans do. We say, have mercy on us. That to me is so difficult to comprehend. How can you be in front of, witness the suffering of Jesus Christ, and yet still think of yourself, have mercy on us, instead of, but God is like that. He will grant mercy on you, even when he's going through suffering and death. So today, I want to demonstrate what would it be like to sing this very poignant hymn from a purely technical perspective. And when I tried to do it on my own, I couldn't continue. So I decided I'm just going to demonstrate the first line, because instinctively my soul is going to shut down, and so I can't just sing it as written, come scritto. But I will demonstrate how it's done. Very nice with legato, nice support, everything. And then I'm going to demonstrate for you a recording, same person, me, both a cappella, meaning there's no accompaniment, there's nothing to jazz it up, okay? It's the same voice, same person, but from a spiritual communication perspective. So I'm going to give you the operatic version first, okay? Without the okay, so. Yeah, and you can follow. If you have the music, you can follow it. You see how metric it is, okay? Just so you can, when you compare it with the recording, where it's much freer in the sense that I'm communicating spontaneously versus reading something and saying, there it is. So far, so good. This is what I mean. When I sing the sacred music, every word is between me and God. If there's somebody listening, if it's for a church service, okay. But the intention is for me to express with the talent that He has given me, using that to communicate with Him. By the way, whenever I sing in choirs, whoever's standing beside me, they go, "Oh gosh, don't mind my voice. I don't sound as good as you." The way I say it is, you don't understand. Everything sounds the same to God. It's all going to God, and He's hearing the same thing because it comes from the heart. It's the same. So I color every word from my emotions because I want to convey the spirit of the prayer. I want to be a conduit. It's not about me, it's about expression, it's about interpretation. So the desire to communicate from a genuine place. What is this? It's when you communicate from a place of authenticity, you actually are seeking nothing from another human being. You're not seeking praise, you're not seeking acceptance, reward, money, anything. And that's the key. The authenticity is the key to letting your creativity out, free and soaring. When I get young voice students come to me for guidance lessons, one of the very first things I ask them is, if you could do anything and not fail, and not be judged negatively, what would it be? The answer they give is usually key to what they should be doing in life. And it doesn't always involve music, you see. So right now, I'm going to ask each and every one of you, okay, to answer this question to yourself right now, without overthinking it or talking yourself out of it, okay? Oh, this is such a crazy idea. Never say that. So, and remember your answer. I'll say it again. If you could do anything and not fail, and not be judged negatively, what would it be? So keep that message. If it didn't come, it should come. Boom, it should come like that, usually. But that's your soul, intuition, telling you something very special. And often, we let society and what others say we can or cannot do dictate the direction of our lives. Sometimes the enemy voice comes to say we're not good enough, not talented enough, not strong enough, not from the right background or connection. Don't listen to it. If you have the dream or the desire inside you, then God put it there for you, specifically for you. However unattainable it may seem to others, God has actually equipped you for your journey of getting it, even if you don't have it right now. And you might not have all the tools, but listen to God, not your naysayers. Let your spirit flow freely. I love this example from the Bible. So when David was about to fight Goliath, King Saul wanted to give him his armor. King Saul was tall, David was small and scrawny. So imagine on this lanky kid, this huge armor. He couldn't move. So had he gone to battle with Saul's armor, he would have been at a disadvantage, no? So he took it off. He was himself, and he won. God gave him the only tool he needed, his slingshot. That's it. He didn't need the armor. So the armor was actually the tool that God gave to Saul, not to David. So David had the slingshot, and that's it. And a rock. So I believe there's a distinct purpose for each of us to be here at this point in time. Not 100 years ago, not 100 years from now. And it will take faith to really activate your dreams. What is faith? See, these are all these questions that I know as you're starting on your journey of self-discovery, you're asking yourself. Bible says in Hebrews, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. You want to please God? You must believe in Him, and you'll be rewarded. Another example I like to remind myself is how when the Israelites and Moses were fleeing from the Pharaoh, and they literally came up to a dead end. What was the dead end? The Red Sea. It's there. But it wasn't until they dipped their feet in the water was up to their knees, that the water started to part. So they had to have that leap of faith first for the waters to part. It probably would never have parted if they just waited there. Please God, part this water. But no, they had to have faith in God. God will save us. God is going to find a way. And the waters parted. In matters of faith, some of the things that I have worked through, thought about is what is considered being passive and what is considered letting God control the reins. There's a Yiddish saying, oh my gosh, now I'm going back to the Old Testament and beyond. If you want to make God laugh, start planning. Because probably from above, when you go, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. It's true because results often aren't the outcomes we want or think are good for us. But the trick is to trust God, to fully believe that He is holding you in the palm of His hand because you are all His beloved children. He will never, and I can say this from my personal experience, He will never give you more trials than you can endure. And He will use the trials to make you better human beings. Someone who eventually will come close to being the walking image of Christ. Someone who will be a light to someone else. Because ultimately we are all here to lift another human being. And if you believe in Him, your vision will be clearer. He will give you signs that all of a sudden you'll see. He will bring guides into your life to move you forward. Reveal opportunities hidden to others, but available to you. And He will solve situations in ways that are humanly unthinkable. So He's giving you a spiritual advantage just by tapping into your faith. So you have to let Him lead your life. You have to let the light from within out and let it be front and center in your life. My advice is just be thankful for all the wonderful things He's bestowed in your life. Praise Him constantly. Talk to Him often. Talk to Him like you would talk to a father who has never ever rebuked you. You know, who just loves you unconditionally. Be joyful in your heart. Ask for the forgiveness of your sins. And next, forgive yourself and others. Love yourself and others daily. And again, now I want you to think of the answer that popped up in your heart when I asked you, what would you do if you wouldn't fail and not be judged negatively? You have to go and follow that dream with the confidence that God is always inside you through your spirit, which is part of the Holy Spirit. And that you are special and you're part of the divine, and that you can access strength, wisdom, inner peace, and love far bigger than you have or can ever imagine, just by connecting with the source. And who is the source? Our God, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Thank you. If anybody has any questions, I would love to answer. Yes.
So many performances. How do you find that? How do you find out on a repetitive basis? Time after time, you got to see this thing. How do you keep that?
Keep the faith, you mean? Keep the...
And find that in your heart to continue on day by day, week by week.
Yes. I never ever step on a stage without praying first. From a young age, especially when I would sing away from home when I didn't have a family member nearby for constant support, prayer. And I learned the 24 Havadot Kosovanis to be a source of great meditation, especially before a performance. It takes about 5 minutes to recite, to say. And they're long, and I say it in the Karapar, of course. And to this day, I find a nuance or a word that I never noticed before. And of course, remembering 24 is very difficult, 5.5, 6 minutes of it. So I have my code system, like when I get to the 10th one, I start like, just all these things I have that actually makes my mind from going zzz before a performance to nothing, to this place of quietude where I actually have the clear vision that I was speaking about. And every performance is different. And of course, there's a lot of excitement involved in traveling to different places, different people, different stages, different opportunities. But these are distractions. I always come back to this place of connection through prayer. It's really calming. It's very calming. You'd be surprised how many copies of the English translation I've given to various makeup artists who've been working on me in different countries, just because they said, "What is this? You're always reading it," and you always thought, after. Say, "You should read it. You should read it." Yes. Yes.
I saw you a few years ago singing Bayrakdarian. It was very beautiful. Thank you. And I wanted to ask you, from all the spiritual hymns that you sing, is there one in particular that is more inspirational and has a special meaning to you that you enjoy?
The question, did you hear? No? The question was, of all the sacred music that I sing, if there's any particular one that has a significance to me. How do you choose between your children? You can't. So the one that I've sung the most is the Lord's Prayer. And again, it's coming back to Christ, coming back to the teaching of Christ. He taught us that prayer, right? So in all its permutations, okay, it's funny, every night for my children, I sing them Haimet. They know it. They know Gomidasyana, but also one day I was so tired. I was like, guys, today I'm just gonna sing the fast Haimet. Do you know? And I did it all in one breath. My 5-year-old daughter, this last week, I am in church, I'm not lying. She sang at her preschool this fast 5 minutes. Okay, this is not an Armenian preschool. They just looked at her, what is she singing? What is she doing? I've never been this way. So I sing to them. So that's probably the one I figure if I have to teach them anything, I have to start from that. The rest, I bring them to church with me. They know the Badarak. I know for sure they know it in their minds. It's just going to come out sometime in the near future. That is secondary, but first I bring them to the root, to the strength of it. So that would be my answer. Yes. Yes.
What do you do now, work-wise? Do you do anything in biomechanical engineering? Do you?
I'm a dinosaur. When it comes to biomedical engineering, 20 years have passed. The diploma looks great on the wine wall. It impresses people. I still have my brain though. I still have the analytical brain. I'm still very handy at mechanical things. I fix things. I love cars. You know, I'm computer savvy. So my brain is still there. It empowers me still to do things. But is it my passion? It's not my passion. It's not. It's somebody else's passion. A lot of people have the passion. Good for them. That's their blessing. But my passion is singing. And now also, I love this. You know, life is all about chapters, right? So I feel for a long time my God filled my barrel and it all started to overflow. I couldn't take in anymore. I had to give. So I started teaching. So teaching and guiding the new generation allowed me to start accepting, have space in my barrel to accept what God was sending me. So I'm in this beautiful phase where I'm also able to guide and help singers through teaching, but also continue with my performances, of course, and projects. Thank you. Yes? Okay. Yes? Sir?
Yes. I noticed you have a very strong Armenian identity, very deep Christian belief, and your mother and your Lord are transformed.
Yes.
What advice would you give to today's youth, in the present youth or elsewhere, how to maintain the Christian identity and be strong in their belief?
Simple. Just look at our history. We have a president. We have a very strong president. We were the first Armenian. We were the first nation to adopt Christianity as its official religion. And since then, there has been a very, very strong, what's the word I want to use? Cross-pollination, more and more than cross-pollination. So it's more our government and our church leaders have been inseparable in keeping the nation together. So they go hand in hand, the Armenian identity and the Christian faith. But especially, we have an advantage, of course, because we are Bayrakdarian, so we have the direct link to Christ through the apostles who came to preach for us. So we have a very strong foundation that will keep on. So it's just a matter of continuing with our history, of making sure that whether they were the kings or the governments, they were always working hand in hand with the Catholicos at the time to protect the interests of our people. Yes. Yes. Just like the first.
I just want to comment that the first time when you sang, I closed my eyes and I heard you singing was absolutely beautiful. You are really gifted. And then when I heard the recording, it actually caused emotion.
Yeah. Thank you. It was very difficult for me to, even when I was practicing presenting you today, the operatic version, it didn't, to me, it wasn't authentic. It wasn't authentic. I could go on the whole thing, but I would be committing a sacrilege, especially in church. So if I wasn't communicating this, then somebody else should sing it. As simple as that.
And can I also ask you, are you in the Word every day? Is that what keeps your faith alive?
Especially these days, yes. Every morning before I get out of bed, I actually read the Psalms. I feel King David and I must have known each other. Sometimes our trials sometimes are very similar, I find. No, but it's just humans, that's what I love, to bring it back to, my profession. Mozart, why is Mozart relevant today? After 300 years? Well, society might have changed. Humans haven't changed. Our emotional reaction, our to circumstances are the same. Our feelings are the same. So what he went through 5,000 years ago, is related to us today, because we're all human beings going through the same human experiences. So,
How do you deal just practically with the volume of hymns that we have in our tradition, and like, how do you choose which hymns how do you prioritize hymns to learn, etc.?
question is, how do I deal with the volume of music, I mean sacred music that's out there, and choosing what I sing or not? This comes back to the same theory about how do I put a concert program together. Do I just put the chestnuts in it, or do I make sure that it's an educational experience for the audience, or do I make a completely new repertoire and expect no one to fall asleep in my recitals? So you're gonna have a balance. So that's exactly what my latest CD, for example, was Mother of Light, all Marian hymns, Diramor Navivat, Meretineri Davesh, all the way from Bayrakdarian medieval times to present. So there were a lot in it that I had never heard. They were published, thankfully, they were in manuscript, they were in piano vocal scores, or even just melody. But I had a theme at least. But you're absolutely right, there's tremendous amount of music out there. Not a lot of people interested in notating it, let alone performing it. But we have treasures. Treasures aren't just monetary. Treasures, we have cultural treasures that as youth we need to be proud of, we need to protect, or else it will die. It will be forgotten. And just because somebody didn't care. I see a lot of hands, so I'm just gonna, okay. I'll go back to back, okay? 1, 2, 3. I already tried to do that actually. All churches, all Armenian churches, I try to go and sing. But hearing, yes, but more people should do it. More people should sing it, you know? They have to take the time to learn it. They have to take the time to come to church and, you know, and learn these beautiful hymns. And discover how their own souls are freed and able to interpret it. You see, it's, I will, of course, it's my complete pleasure to give back to God what He has given me. You know how I think about my voice? I think the day I was born, God kissed my throat. That's how I look at it. So you see how much I feel close to my Papa. So I do. It's like that, and He has done this special kiss for everybody in a different part of your life. Trust me, He has, or else you wouldn't be here. So the trick is to identify what it is, and then you'll be very unique, and then you make a change without trying to make a change, you know? Because your process is so joyful, you won't realize that you made a change. Or, you know, unless people like you say, you have a beautiful life, thank you. I wasn't trying to stand out from everybody else. I was just talking to my Father. I was singing, I was happy, I was praising Him. That's all. Amen. Why not? No. Yes, the gentleman beside you first.
So I was trying to tie together what Melina said before you, with what you said. You're asking, what would you do if you knew that you could not fail? That's from Melina's question to us, what are the obstacles? I realized one be the best at it. We might embarrass ourselves if we try. And so I was amazed. You said you didn't ever compare yourself to anybody else when you pursued singing. Have you ever compared yourself? Have you found that to be an obstacle? Or is it just that you're so gifted?
No, I'm human. Oh, I've made my own share of mistakes. Of course I have. But then the minute I compared myself to others, oh my goodness, I realized I'm actually tumbling down. I'm on my way down. So I had to pick myself up and say, no. I so resist the dogma that says you have to, in order for you to know where you are, you have to compare yourself to others. No, I've come to realize I am unique. I'm unique. Everybody here is unique. My path has no relation to anybody else's path. If somebody's path is parallel to my life, great. If we intersect, great. If we never intersect, okay. You know, my destiny is not influenced in any way by somebody else's destiny. So that's why I don't believe in the theory of scarcity, which is so rampant in artistic world. You know, ooh, if I don't get this, I'll never be able to sing again. Ooh, if I don't get this opportunity. I don't believe in the theory of scarcity. Why? Because I believe in God. And does God have the word scarcity in him? Never. He is the all-giver of all things. He is the most abundant source. So why would you limit yourself? Why would you limit yourself? By comparing yourself to other human achievements, when I'd much rather have divine and asvadain, godly interventions. But yes, I have failed. Yes.
But I just want to say, you know, it's such a pleasure for me when I take my children to school and I put in your CDs. And I believe that I'm not trying to overfish it, that Europe said is using as Bayrakdarian, as a treasure for the Armenian church. And if I could make one recommendation would be, and I know Isabel arranged that he would come to Los Angeles and we gather as many youth as we can, the young kids, and you inspire me to do a one-day training or seminar, and I think it would inspire our youth, and they're just signing us.
Thank you. Yani to jest hazardina, I know there was another question, but I'm just a little bit candy time.
Isabel, my name is Gina. It was a pleasure listening to you. My question is, I feel like as human beings, a lot of us struggle with keeping our faith strong when things go wrong in life, and we encounter difficulties. And I wanted to ask you what you do when things go wrong, and what you recommend to us, how we can keep our faith strong when we're under trial.
So, when things go wrong, which means you did not get the result you were expecting, right?
Right.
Which means you are in control. You think you're in control. Which means you have not let go to God. If you had let go, in moments like this, as difficult as it is, imagine it as a pop quiz. God threw this pop quiz at you. Is she gonna pass? What does passing mean? Trusting Him and saying, God, I know this outcome sucks. It's terrible. But you are God. I can't tell you what to do because my solution is human and you have divine solutions. But I know that you can make it better for me. Even if it's a trial, good things come to those who trust Him. And this is who trust Him is key. Not just good things will come, but if you trust Him, God turns it to something that's to your advantage. And this is the way I pray. if somebody, let's say, excuse me. This is what I usually pray. God, please transform that whatever's meant for my harm ends up being my promotion, ends up promoting me. So think about it as somebody puts an obstacle in front of you for you to trip. But God, if you believe in Him, He uses that same rock as a pedestal for you to step on so that you're higher than before. But you have to have that trust. So it's like the pop quiz. Every time it happens, you just think of it, okay, it's just a pop quiz, it's temporary, it's gonna pass, but I have to exercise my faith, my complete surrender to Him. So He lifts you. And He lifts you, oh my gosh, that's the best feeling, because we don't have wings unless He lifts us. Otherwise, we're just walking on earth. So it's great to be lifted. I hope it helped. It's what I do, so. Anyone else? Just a thumbs up, yay. Okay.